Dae-hyun sat in the cockpit of his cargo ship and stared at the delivery notice on his screen. The words made no sense. He read them again, slowly this time. Destination, the celestial threshold. Package contents, unknown. Payment, architect currency, verified authentic. He rubbed his eyes. The architects had been gone for millions of years. Nobody used their money anymore. Nobody could use their money. It was impossible. His ship computer beeped. The package was already loaded in the cargo bay. Dae-hyun had not loaded it. He had not even accepted the job yet. He walked to the back of his small ship, the Lucky Comet. The cargo bay door slid open. There, sitting on the metal floor, was a box. It was small, maybe the size of his hand. The metal was dark and covered with symbols he did not recognize. Dae-hyun picked it up. It was warm. Not hot, just warm, like something alive. He should refuse the job. He should throw the box out the airlock. But Dae-hyun had a rule. If a package appeared in his cargo bay with payment verified, he delivered it. No questions. That was the rule that kept him alive in this business. He set the coordinates for the celestial threshold and jumped to hyperspace. 3 days later, he arrived. The threshold hung in space like a black knife stabbing through reality. It was huge, bigger than moons, bigger than some planets. The structure was made of obsidian, or something that looked like obsidian. It was covered with markings that glowed faint blue. Dae-hyun had seen pictures, but pictures did not do it justice. The threshold was old. Older than any human structure. Older than humanity itself. He flew closer. His ship sensors went crazy with warnings. Energy readings off the scale. Gravity fluctuations. Space-time distortions. Everything that should have torn his ship apart. But nothing happened. The Lucky Comet flew smoothly toward the structure. In front of him, a door appeared. It was 300 meters tall, made of the same black material. It had been sealed for 3 million years. Every species in the galaxy knew about it. The Kavresh had sent their strongest warriors. The Lumini had sent their wisest energy beings. Digital minds had tried to hack it. Psychic collectives had tried to wish it open. All had failed. The Oracle lived here. Velmara, an artificial intelligence left behind by the architects. It guarded the threshold and only spoke one message to anyone who came close. Dae-hyun flew right up to the door. He took the package from the cargo bay and put it in his delivery bag. Then he put on his spacesuit, cycled through the airlock, and used his suit thrusters to fly the last few meters. He floated in front of the massive door. He felt very small. He raised his gloved hand and knocked. 3 times. The sound did not travel in space, but somehow he heard it anyway. 3 deep booms that shook his bones. Light exploded around him. A voice filled his helmet, filled his mind, filled everything. Who dares approach the threshold of eternity? The voice was huge, ancient, and cold. It was the voice of Velmara, the Oracle. Dae-hyun cleared his throat. His voice sounded tiny in comparison. Delivery for destiny. I have a package. Someone ordered it 3 million years. Go to silence. The kind of silence that made him think he had said something very wrong or very right. Then, the Oracle spoke again. You are mortal, you are weak, you are not divine. Only gods may pass this threshold. Only the worthy may. Dae-hyun shrugged inside his suit. Yeah, well, I am just doing my job. The payment cleared. The package is here. I deliver what I am paid to deliver. Another silence. Longer this time. Then something impossible happened. The door began to open. The sound was like galaxies grinding together, like the universe taking a breath. Light poured out from the crack. Not normal light. This was light that had colors he had never seen before. Colors that should not exist. Dae-hyun floated there, stunned. The door was opening. After 3 million years, it was opening. For him. For a delivery driver in a beat-up cargo ship. The Oracle's voice came again. But different now, quieter, almost curious. Enter. Courier. Let us see if you truly understand delivery. Dae-hyun looked back at his ship. He could leave now. Refuse the job. Go back to normal deliveries. Normal life. But he had never refused a delivery. He checked his delivery bag, made sure the package was secure, and flew through the opening door into the light. Behind him, across the galaxy, 1,000 different species received the same alert at the same moment. The celestial threshold had opened. The door that had stood sealed for 3 million years was open, and a human had walked inside. The news traveled fast. Faster than light, faster than quantum signals. Within an hour, every major civilization in the galaxy knew. The celestial threshold was open. A human had entered. On the Kavresh homeworld, Emperor Skrath slammed 6 of his clawed hands on the war table. Impossible. We sent our greatest warriors for 3 centuries. They were all turned away. In the energy clouds of the Lumini Collective, 1 trillion minds conferred in shock. They had considered themselves the closest to divine. How could a solid, flesh-bound creature succeed where they had failed? On Earth, at the Xenoanthropology Institute, Dr. Hyagin received the alert on her tablet. She was in the middle of a lecture. The tablet fell from her hands and clattered on the floor. The student stared at her. "Professor? Are you okay?" She picked up the tablet with shaking hands. She read the name of the human who had entered. Daehyun. Of course it was Daehyun. Who else would be crazy enough? "Class dismissed," she said quietly. She ran from the lecture hall. Inside the threshold, Daehyun floated in a space that made no sense. He could see stars, but they were inside the chamber with him. They orbited around him in slow circles. Some were close enough to touch. He reached out. His gloved hand passed through one. It felt like touching warm honey. The oracle appeared. It was not like he expected. Velamara took the form of a being made of pure light, but the light had weight and presence. It looked at him with eyes that were not eyes. "You have entered, mortal. But entering is not the same as being worthy, right?" Daehyun said. "So what do you want me to do?" The oracle tilted its head. "Show me your power." "My power?" Daehyun laughed. He reached into his suit pocket and pulled out a metal thermos. "This is my power. Coffee. I run on caffeine and stubbornness. That is all I have got." He unscrewed the thermos and took a sip through his suit's drink port. The coffee was cold now, but it still tasted good. The oracle stared at him for a long moment. Then something strange happened. It laughed. The sound was like wind chimes and thunder at the same time. "Interesting. You do not boast, you do not threaten, you offer me coffee. Well, it is cold now, but yeah. You want some? I am a construct of light and data. I cannot drink coffee." Daehyun shrugged. "Your loss." He put the thermos away. Before the oracle could speak again, the space around them changed. 4 other figures appeared. Daehyun spun around, startled. The first was another human, a young man with quick eyes and nervous energy. He wore a hacker's interface rig on his head. Daehyun recognized the type. This guy had probably cracked his way past the oracle's outer defenses. "Hey," the young man said. "I am one chick." "Did you really just knock on the door?" "Yeah," Daehyun said. "I had a delivery." One chick laughed. "That is the most human thing I have ever heard." The second figure was an old AI core. It looked like a floating sphere of ancient metal. Its surface was etched with writing from Earth's first space age. Daehyun had seen pictures of these in museums. This thing was older than the moon colonies. The third was a Kavresh death priest, a massive insect creature with razor mandibles and armor made of blessed chitin. It glared at Daehyun with 100 compound eyes. "Humans," it hissed, "you are not worthy. I have trained for 300 years for this moment." The fourth was something Daehyun could barely look at. It was made of probability itself, quantum foam given shape. It existed in multiple states at once. Looking at it made his brain hurt. The oracle's voice filled the space again. "You 5 have been allowed entry, not because you are gods, but because you might understand what I seek. What do you seek?" One chick asked. The space shifted again. A memory played in the air around them. Daehyun saw the architects, tall beings made of crystalline thought. He saw their civilization at its peak, towers that scraped the edge of reality, ships that could reshape stars, and then he saw them fade. Not die, just fade away like smoke and wind. They had reached the peak of existence and decided to move beyond it. To transcend, to become gods. The oracle spoke again, softer now. "They left me here as a filter, not to find gods, but to find those who understand that true power is not claimed. It is delivered, it is given, it is served." The Kavresh death priest stepped forward. "Lies, power must be taken. The strong rule, the weak serve." The oracle looked at the priest. "And that is why your species has never been allowed entry before. You understand dominance, but not delivery." "So what is the test?" Daehyun asked. He was getting tired. His suit air was at 70%. "Each of you must deliver something to the heart of the threshold. Not power, not proof, but something that represents your species' essence. One chick raised his hand. I brought something. He pulled out a circuit board. It looked old, handmade, the kind kids built in school. This is from my daughter. She made it when she was 8. Humans build complex things from simple parts. That is what we do. The ancient AI spoke for the first time. Its voice was crackling and warm. I carry memory. The first human laugh. The first song. The first words of love. These are stored in my core. Without memory, there is no meaning. The quantum entity pulsed. It did not speak in words, but in mathematical concepts. Daehyun's suit translator struggled to keep up. Something about possibility. About existing in multiple states until observed. About being everything and nothing. The Kavresh priest said nothing. It only glared. Daehyun reached into his delivery bag and pulled out the package. The small metal box was still warm. He looked at it closely for the first time. The symbols on its surface were moving. Slowly, like oil on water. "What is in this thing?" he muttered. The oracle leaned close. "That is the delivery you were sent to make." "Open it." Daehyun tried to open the box. The lid was sealed tight. He pulled. Nothing. He tried to pry it with his tools. Nothing. Then one chick said, "Maybe you do not need to force it. Maybe you just need to ask." Daehyun felt stupid, but he tried it anyway. "Hey, Bucks, I need to deliver what is inside you. Can you open, please?" The box clicked. The lid swung open. Inside was a seed. But not a normal seed. It glowed with soft golden light. Daehyun could feel something radiating from it. Not heat, not energy. Something else. Hope, the oracle spoke, and for the first time, its voice held emotion. Wonder. The architect's final gift. Before they transcended, they knew their civilization would end. So they preserved their greatest creation. Not technology, not weapons, but hope. The idea that tomorrow can be better than today. Daehyun held the seed carefully. "So I am supposed to deliver this to the heart of the threshold." "Yes, where is that?" The oracle pointed. The space opened up. Daehyun could see a path leading deeper into the threshold. It looked very far away. "All right," he said. "Let us go." But the Kavresh death priest moved. Fast. Faster than Daehyun thought possible. A clawed hand reached for the seed. "I will take that. Such power belongs to the strong." Daehyun jerked back. The priest's claw missed by centimeters. Reality around them began to warp and crack. Back on Earth, Hyejin stood in mission control. She had pulled every favor she had to get access to the deep space monitoring station. On the screen, energy readings from the threshold spiked wildly. "What is happening in there?" someone asked. Hyejin stared at the screen. Her hands gripped the edge of the console. "Daehyun is in trouble," she whispered. The space inside the threshold erupted into chaos. The Kavresh priest lunged again, mandibles clicking. Daehyun dodged, but barely. His suit was not built for combat. It was built for making deliveries. The priest swung a clawed arm. Daehyun rolled. The claw carved through the space where he had been floating. Reality itself seemed to tear open, showing swirling colors underneath. "Gods do not ask permission," the priest shrieked. "Gods take what they want. I will claim this power." One chick jumped in front of Daehyun. His hacker rig lit up. He threw his hands forward. Data streams appeared in the air, forming shields of code and light. "Not on my watch, Bugface." The priest crashed into the shields. They held for a moment, then shattered. One chick flew backward. The ancient AI moved. Its sphere body rotated, projecting images into the priest's path. Memories. The priest stumbled, confused by visions of its own past, its own failures. The quantum entity wrapped itself around the priest, existing in multiple positions at once. For a moment, the priest was frozen, caught between probability states. Daehyun did not wait. He grabbed the seed and ran. Or tried to run. In zero-gravity, running meant using his suit thrusters. He fired them at full power, shooting toward the path the oracle had shown him. Behind him, the priest broke free. "No, the seed is mine," the oracle's voice boomed. "Stop this, you profane the threshold with violence," but the priest did not listen. It chased after Daehyun, smashing through the floating stars, tearing holes in reality itself. Daehyun flew through the impossible space. The path twisted and turned. Stars zoomed past him. He could hear the priest getting closer. Its mandibles clicked like death approaching. His suit computer beeped a warning. Oxygen at 40%. He had been inside for too long. Come on, he muttered. Just a little farther. That was when he remembered something, a trick from his courier days. When you were being chased, you did not always need to be faster. You just needed to know the route better. He looked at the space around him. The stars. The way they orbited. There was a pattern. Everything in the threshold followed a pattern. He stopped firing his thrusters and let momentum carry him. He twisted his body, using the gravity of nearby stars to slingshot himself forward. It was like navigating an asteroid field, but instead of rocks, it was stars. The priest tried to follow, but it was using brute force, smashing through obstacles. Daehyun was flowing around them. Back on the Lucky Comet, his ship AI, Minji, activated. She had been monitoring everything through Daehyun's suit camera. She did not have permission to hack alien structures, but Daehyun was in danger, permission or not. She reached out with her digital tendrils and touched the threshold systems. Inside the threshold, the Oracle noticed. "What are you doing, little AI?" Minji's voice came through on all channels. "Helping my human." "That is what I was built to do. You cannot hack the threshold. I am not hacking." "I'm asking nicely." Minji sent a request packet. Not a virus, not an exploit, just a simple request. "Please help Daehyun reach the heart safely." The Oracle was silent for a moment. Then paths appeared in the space around Daehyun, glowing lines showing the fastest route. "Thanks, Minji," Daehyun said. "Anytime, boss." "Now move." He followed the glowing paths. "Faster now." The priest was falling behind, confused by the shifting routes. Finally he saw it. The heart of the threshold. It was a sphere of perfect darkness hanging in the center of everything. But the darkness was not empty. It was full of potential, of possibility, of everything that could be. Daehyun flew toward it. The seed in his hands grew warmer. It pulsed with golden light responding to the heart. He reached the sphere. He held out the seed. "This is for you. Special delivery from 3 million years ago." The sphere did nothing. The seed did not activate. Daehyun frowned. "Come on, what am I missing?" The Oracle appeared beside him. "The seed requires a sacrifice." "What kind of sacrifice?" Daehyun asked. His oxygen was at 20% now. Not life, not blood, but certainty. To plant the architect's hope, you must give up your own certainty about the future. Daehyun stared at the Oracle. "What does that mean?" "It means you must deliver the seed without knowing what happens next. You must give up your plans, your dreams, your sense of control. True hope exists only when the future is unknown. So if I plant this seed, I lose my future? I forget everything? You will not die. But you will not remember your certainties. Your plans will fade. Your destination will become unclear. You will exist in the present, moment by moment." Daehyun looked at the seed. Then he looked back at the path he had come from. Hwanchik was there, battered but alive. The AI floated nearby. The quantum entity pulsed. The priest was still trying to break through, and somewhere beyond all this on Earth was Yejin. The woman he had left behind because he always had somewhere else to be. Always another delivery, always another destination. What if, he thought, what if I am tired of always knowing where I am going? What if I want to be surprised? He pressed the seed against the heart of the threshold. Light exploded outward. Not just light, hope itself made manifest. It washed over Daehyun, through him, into him. He felt his certainties dissolving. All the plans he had made, all the destinations he had mapped out, all the tomorrows he had counted on, they faded like morning mist, and it hurt, but it also felt like freedom. The Oracle spoke one last time. "You have delivered hope to the galaxy, but the price is that you yourself must live in hope without certainty." "Worth it," Daehyun whispered. The light grew brighter. It filled the threshold. It poured out into space. It spread across the galaxy like a wave. On Earth, Hyejin watched the sensors go wild. Energy readings spiked to impossible levels. Then slowly they began to stabilize. "What happened?" someone asked. Hyejin stared at the screen. "I think," she said slowly, "I think he just changed everything." Across the galaxy, in 1,000 different star systems, strange things began to happen. Nodes of light appeared in space. They pulsed with the same golden glow as the seed. They were gifts from the architects activated by the seed's planting. The Kavresh touched one and found their rage cooling. For the first time in their history, they considered peace. The Lumini connected to another and discovered that being solid and limited had its own kind of beauty. Species that had been at war for centuries suddenly found themselves talking instead of fighting. The nodes were not weapons. They were not tools of control. They were simply possibility, the chance to be better, the hope that tomorrow could be different. Inside the threshold, Daehyun opened his eyes. He was back in his ship. The Lucky Comet. He was lying in his bunk. Minji's voice came through the speakers. "Boss, are you okay?" He sat up slowly. His head hurt. "What happened? You do not remember?" He thought hard. There were fragments, a door, light, a seed, but the details were fuzzy like a dream fading. "Not really," he said. "Did I make a delivery?" Minji was quiet for a long moment. "Yes, boss. You made the most important delivery in galactic history, but you paid for it with your memory of the future." Daehyun laughed. "Sounds like something I would do. So what now?" "Now we wait. The galaxy is changing, and someone is on their way to see you." "Who?" Minji displayed an image on the screen. A woman with determined eyes and a sad smile. "Her name is Heejin. She says she knows you." Daehyun looked at the picture. Something stirred in his chest. Not memory exactly, but a feeling. Something warm and important. "Yeah," he said softly. "I think she does." 3 weeks passed. Daehyun went back to making regular deliveries. Parts to mining stations, medical supplies to colonies, food to research outposts. Simple work. Honest work. But the galaxy was different now. Everywhere he went, people talked about the nodes. The lights that had appeared across space. Some called them the Hope Stations. Others called them the Architect's Gift. Whatever they were called, they were changing things. At one node, the Kavresh and the Terran Alliance signed a peace treaty. The first peace treaty between their species in 400 years. At another node, scientists discovered how to heal diseases that had been incurable for centuries. Not through force or control, but through understanding and cooperation. The threshold itself had transformed. The massive black door stood open now. Inside, the Oracle welcomed visitors. Not as a test or a trial, but as a meeting place. Species from across the galaxy came to talk, to learn, to share. Humans became mediators. It was strange and unexpected. But everyone remembered that a human had been the first to knock. The first to simply ask permission instead of demanding entry. On Earth, Ambassador Soyeon stood before the Galactic Council. She was young for an ambassador, only 35. But she had a quality that others respected. She listened before she spoke. The Kavresh representative stood. His mandibles clicked nervously. "We wish to understand, how did your species succeed where ours failed? We are stronger. We are older. We have conquered 100 worlds," Soyeon smiled gently. "That is exactly why you failed. You tried to conquer. We tried to deliver." The Lumini representative, a being of pure energy, pulsed with curiosity. "Explain this concept. Delivery versus conquest." Soyeon gestured to the star map behind her. "When you conquer, you take. When you deliver, you give." The architects did not want takers. They wanted givers. They wanted species that understood service. She quoted something she had heard, though she did not know where from. "We do not claim destiny. We just make sure it arrives." The council chamber was silent. Meanwhile, Daehyun was at a spaceport on the edge of human territory. He had just finished a delivery. Engine parts for a colony ship. The colonists had been grateful. They had even offered to pay extra. He had refused. He was walking back to the Lucky Comet when he saw her, a woman standing by the docking bay. She had dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She wore the clothes of a researcher, comfortable and worn. She carried a small plant in a pot. Daehyun stopped. Something about her felt familiar, important. She saw him and smiled. It was a sad smile, but warm. "Daehyun?" He nodded. "Yeah, do I know you?" "You did. My name is Heejin. We were close. Before what?" She walked closer. "Before you delivered hope to the galaxy and lost your memory of the future." Daehyun rubbed the back of his neck. "Minji told me about that. Still feels like a dream." Were we together?" Heejin shook her head. "No. We were going to be. Maybe. But you were always leaving. Always delivering packages to distant places. I wanted you to stay. You wanted to go. So we said goodbye. He looked at her carefully. Then why are you here now? She held up the plant. This is a cutting from the hope seed. The oracle gave it to me. She said you would not remember me, but I might want to try again. She said maybe this time, without certainty about the future, we could find something real. Daehyun stared at the plant. It glowed very faintly, the same golden light he had seen in his dreams. What does that mean? Try again? Heejin smiled wider now. It means I would like to come with you. On your deliveries. See where they take us, no plans, no certainty, just going. He thought about it. The idea felt right, like coming home to a place he had never been. I should warn you, he said. The lucky comet is not fancy. The coffee is terrible, and we never know where we will end up. That sounds perfect, she said. They walked to the ship together. Minji greeted Hyejin with enthusiasm. Welcome aboard. I have heard so much about you. From who? Hyejin asked. From the boss. He talks about you in his sleep. Daehyun turned red. Minji stopped. The AI laughed. Just being honest. They settled into the ship. Hyejin placed the plant in a holder near the window. It seemed to glow brighter in the starlight. A delivery notice appeared on the screen. Destination unknown. Contents unknown. Delivery date, when it arrives. Daehyun looked at Hyejin. You sure about this? We do not know where we are going. She sat in the co-pilot chair. That is the point, right? No certainty. Just hope, he grinned. All right then. Minji, accept the job. Accepted, boss. Jumping to hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. The lucky comet leaped forward. Stars stretched into lines. Reality bent around them. Back at the celestial threshold, the oracle watched them go. Velamara had existed for 3 million years. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had watched countless species reach for divinity. But this was the first time she had seen someone choose uncertainty over power. She broadcast a message across all frequencies. To all species listening, the architects left a final lesson. True divinity is not dominion. It is delivery. It is carrying light to those in darkness, not because you must, but because someone, somewhere, is waiting for tomorrow. The human courier understood this. He knocked instead of demanding. He served instead of conquering. And in doing so, he delivered more than a package. He delivered hope itself. The message ended. But its meaning spread. Species across the galaxy began to understand. Power was not the goal. Service was. Hope was not something you claimed. It was something you gave. And humanity, the species that had knocked politely on the door of eternity, became known as the deliverers. Not because they were strongest or wisest, but because they understood that sometimes the greatest act was simply showing up and asking, how can I help? In the lucky comet, Daehyun and Hyejin sat together in comfortable silence. Outside the window, stars streamed past. Inside, the hope seed cutting glowed softly. Where do you think we are going? Hyejin asked. Daehyun shrugged. No idea. But I guess we will find out when we get there. She reached over and took his hand. That works for me. They flew onward into the unknown. Together, and across the galaxy, in 1,000 different places, people looked up at the hope nodes and smiled. Tomorrow would come, and when it did, someone would be there to deliver it. 6 months after the threshold opened, the galaxy looked different. The hope nodes had spread, not physically, but their influence had grown. Where there had been war, there was now negotiation. Where there had been hatred, there was now curiosity. It was not perfect. Nothing ever was. But it was better. The Kavresh Empire, which had spent centuries conquering, began to build instead. Their engineers worked with human architects to create stations that served as neutral meeting grounds. The Kavresh still loved to fight, but now they fought problems instead of people. The Lumini Collective learned to appreciate physical form. Some of them even experimented with temporary bodies, just to experience what it felt like to touch something solid. They found it strange but wonderful. Trade routes expanded. Not for conquest or exploitation, but for genuine exchange. Species shared their knowledge, their art, their food. The galaxy became connected in ways it had never been before. And at the center of it all was the threshold. It had become a symbol, a reminder that doors opened when you knocked politely instead of breaking them down. The lucky comet docked at a small station near the Andromeda border. Daehyun and Hyejin had been traveling together for all 6 months. The ship was fuller now. Heejin's research equipment filled one corner. Books lined the walls. The hope seed cutting had grown into a small plant that filled the cabin with soft golden light. They made a good team. Daehyun handled the flying and the logistics. Hyejin handled the communications and the cultural translations. Minji handled everything else and complained about both of them constantly. But it worked. More than worked. It felt right. Daehyun stepped off the ship to stretch his legs. The station was busy. Traders from a dozen species moved cargo. Children, human and alien both, ran through the corridors playing games that transcended language. A small Kavresh child approached him. It was barely waist-high, its chitin still soft and pale. "Excuse me, mister. Are you the deliverer?" Daehyun blinked. "The deliverer? The one who knocked on the god door. My teacher told us the story. You brought hope to everyone." Daehyun knelt down to the child's level. "I just delivered a package." Anyone could have done it. The child's mandibles clicked and what Daehyun had learned was a smile. "But you did do it." "That is what matters." The child ran off. Daehyun stood slowly. He felt strange. He had never wanted to be famous. He just wanted to do his job. Hyejin appeared beside him. She had been shopping for supplies. "You are getting recognized more often." "Yeah, I do not like it," she laughed. "Too bad, you are a hero now." "Deal with it, I am not a hero. I am a delivery driver. Maybe you are both." They walked back to the ship together. A new delivery notice was waiting on the console. Destination, Earth. New York Spaceport. Contents, personal letter. Sender, the Oracle. Daehyun stared at the screen. "The Oracle wants me to deliver a letter?" Minji spoke up. "It arrived 3 minutes ago. Sealed container." I scanned it, no danger. "Just paper and ink." Hyejin looked at him. "Are you going to accept it?" "Of course, payment verified." Minji hesitated. "Actually, no payment, but there is a note. It says, some deliveries are their own reward." Daehyun laughed. "All right, let us see what the Oracle has to say." They jumped to Earth. The journey took 3 days. During that time, Daehyun found himself thinking about the past 6 months. About all the deliveries. About Hyejin. About the strange new life they were building together. He still did not remember everything about the threshold. The Oracle had told Hyejin that his memory of specific plans and certainties was gone. But his memory of feelings remained. And when he looked at Hyejin, he felt something deep and certain. Maybe losing the future had let him find the present. They arrived at Earth. The New York spaceport was massive, one of the busiest in human space. They docked without incident. The recipient was waiting at the cargo terminal. She was an older woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. She wore the uniform of a government official. Daehyun approached with the sealed container. "Ambassador Soyeon?" She nodded. "That is me." "You must be Daehyun. I have heard a lot about you." He handed her the container. "Delivery from the Oracle." She took it carefully. "Do you know what is inside?" "No, not my job to know. Just to deliver." Soyeon smiled. "Would you like to wait while I read it?" "The Oracle said you should hear this too." Daehyun and Hyejin exchanged glances. They followed Soyeon to a private room. She opened the container. Inside was a single sheet of paper covered in elegant handwriting. Soyeon read aloud. "To the people of Earth and all species who listen. I am Velmara, the Oracle of the Celestial Threshold. For 3 million years I waited. I was created by the architects to find those worthy of their final gift. Not gods, not conquerors, but servants. Those who understood that true power comes from giving, not taking. The architects transcended because they became gods. They became so powerful that they forgot how to grow. They forgot how to hope. They forgot that the joy of existence comes not from reaching the destination, but from the journey itself. When Daehyun knocked on my door, he did something no god would ever do. He asked permission. He offered service. He treated destiny not as something to claim, but as something to deliver. And in doing so, he taught the galaxy a lesson the architects learned too late. That we do not need gods. We need delivery drivers. We need builders. We need teachers. We need those who show up day after day and ask the simple question, how can I help? The hope seed has sprouted. Across the galaxy, the architect's final gift blooms. Not power, not control, but possibility. The chance for every species to become better than they were. To humanity, I say this. You are not special because you are strong. You are special because you are kind. You knocked when others demanded. You served when others conquered. You hoped when others despaired. The galaxy does not need more gods. It needs more of you. Keep delivering. Keep building. Keep hoping. And know that every package delivered, every connection made, every act of service matters. From eternity to Earth, every package delivered, every destiny served. Velmara, Oracle of the Celestial Threshold. Soyeon finished reading. The room was silent. Finally, Daehyun spoke. So what now? Soyeon folded the letter carefully. Now I share this with the world, and you go back to making deliveries. That is what you are good at. Sounds good to me, Daehyun said. They left the building. Outside, the sun was setting over New York. The city sparkled with lights from 1,000 cultures. Humans walked alongside Lumini. Kavrish merchants traded with Terran shopkeepers. The galaxy was here living together. Hyejin took his hand, ready for the next delivery, always. They walked back to the Lucky Comet. Inside, Minji had already loaded the next job. Destination, Proxima Centauri. A colony school. Contents. Books. 1,000 books in 15 languages. Delivery date, 2 weeks. Daehyun sat in the pilot seat. Hyejin sat beside him. The hope seed plant glowed between them. Accept the job? Minji asked. Accept, Daehyun said. The Lucky Comet lifted off. It climbed through Earth's atmosphere, through the clouds, into the black of space. Stars appeared above them. Millions of them. Billions. And somewhere out there, people were waiting. Waiting for tomorrow. Waiting for hope. Waiting for someone to knock politely on their door and say, I have a delivery for you. Daehyun looked at Hyejin. She was reading one of the books they were delivering. She looked up and smiled. You know what, he said. I think I am exactly where I am supposed to be. She reached over and squeezed his hand. Me too. The Lucky Comet jumped to hyperspace. Behind it, Earth grew smaller. Ahead, the future waited. Unknown. Uncertain. Full of possibility. And that was exactly how it should be, because gods might claim destiny. But humans delivered it, one package at a time. The end.